Welcome back to the deep dive. So you know how basically every self-help book, every financial guru, every single motivational coach, they all tell you the same thing?
Oh, yeah. It's always delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification is king. Put off the joy, put off the pleasure, and you'll get that big payoff somewhere down the line.
It's just the unquestioned dogma of modern productivity, isn't it? We're constantly told that discipline means you have to resist the present for the benefit of some future self.
Well, today we're pretty much tearing up that rule book. We've spent time immersed in this singular, and I have to say, incredibly provocative philosophy. It's titled The Architecture of Immediate Presence.
And it argues the exact opposite.
The exact opposite. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack an argument that radically redefines concepts we usually see as negative, like instant gratification.
Right, and it argues they're actually tools for profound presence, for focus.
Which is just a complete reversal.
It is, and this is it's a deceptively powerful source. It's not just a license for impulsive behavior.
No, not at all.
It's a really sophisticated defense of living profoundly in the now. The core philosophy we're exploring today, it centers on this simple yet kind of revolutionary idea. Do not defer joy when joy can be chosen today.
That phrase, do not defer joy, it immediately sets off alarms for a lot of people. For me, too. Mm-hmm. It feels so counterintuitive to everything we've been taught.
About saving money?
About anything. Training for a marathon, building a relationship. If we don't defer joy, doesn't life just become a chaotic series of impulses?
And that's the tension the source really leans into. It acknowledges that risk, but it argues the spiritual payoff is just, it's worth it. It outweighs the perceived danger.
So the core value here is the art of living in the immediate.
Exactly. This philosophy suggests that by choosing joy now, you achieve a kind of grounding that, future worry can never really offer you.
Okay, let's dive straight into that. The first major, and I think the most radical, shift, why the author actually cherishes instant gratification. What is the fundamental reason for prioritizing that immediate satisfaction?
What's fascinating here is that the author values it not really for the pleasure itself, but because it serves a function. It actively anchors the individual in the present moment.
An anchor.
It moves instant gratification from the category of, say, vice to the category of anchoring mechanism.
An anchor. That's interesting because we usually think of anchors as this weight, something that slows you down. Yeah. But here it sounds more like a tether.
That's a great way to put it.
It keeps you connected to the current reality instead of, floating off into all these potential futures or past regrets.
Precisely. And the mechanism detailed in the source is very clear. Instant gratification, when it's applied correctly, it works by dissolving the distance between intention and action.
That gap.
Yeah, think about that gap, the space between I should do this and I did this. That gap is where procrastination lives. It's where self-doubt settles in, and it's where all the energy for action just leaks out.
So if I intend to, let's say, tell a friend I appreciate them, doing it right now instantly, that closes the gap.
Yes.
If I intend to start some project I really enjoy, starting it instantly prevents that whole internal debate that just leads to delay.
That is the perfect illustration. By choosing not to postpone love or enjoyment or even just a moment of genuine self-care, the individual weaves that immediacy right into their daily fabric.
It becomes a habit.
It becomes a cadence, a rhythm of consistent action that keeps the person connected to my spirit. And that connectivity, that's the foundational piece.
Yeah.
If you feel aligned right now, you're operating from a position of authenticity.
I see. So it's not really about buying the candy bar right now.
Not necessarily.
It's about choosing the alignment right now. If your intention is truly aligned with your spirit, like spending quality time with family, doing that immediately, it just cements that alignment.
And that is a powerful internal discipline. If the immediate choice confirms your alignment, it provides instant positive reinforcement for the trajectory of your life. It transforms doing what feels good into doing what feels right.
Okay, that definitely makes the philosophical case much stronger. But now we have to move from that spiritual connection to practical focus. If you're living your life based on this immediate presence, how does it actually improve decision-making?
Right, because the world is constantly throwing long-term problems at you.
Exactly. How do you maintain clarity?
Well, the source argues that focus is found directly in the now. Living with this urgency acts as a powerful filter. When you commit to making choices in the immediate, you can only handle what's directly in front of you.
Which clarifies what matters.
It clarifies what matters. Yes, all the abstract, maybe someday problems, they just fade out of focus because they aren't tangible right now.
But doesn't that lead to a kind of strategic short-sightedness? If I only focus on the now, how do I know if I'm building toward a meaningful future?
And that's the critical challenge. The argument is that the immediate moment forces a type of ruthless honesty. This urgency, it directs you toward tangible outcomes.
Things you can actually verify.
Things you can verify, not abstract hopes. The whole system is guided by what the source calls a blunt, unromantic honesty that the author trusts.
Blunt, unromantic honesty. Let's break that down for a second. Usually our long-term goals are incredibly romantic. The ideal job, the perfect body.
The dream partner.
Right. This philosophy seems to just reject that entirely.
It absolutely rejects the romanticized ideal. Blunt honesty means looking at your life and saying, okay, what tangible thing can I accomplish or experience in the next hour that genuinely advances my well-being or my purpose?
So it doesn't let you hide behind that abstract promise of, I'll write a book someday.
No, it forces you to write a sentence today.
And that bluntness is what grounds the person. By choosing what you can see, touch, and feel, you ground yourself in the world as it is. You stop dealing with life as it could be someday, and instead you engage with verifiable reality.
It sounds like a cure for chronic potentiality.
That's the perfect way to put it. The paralysis of endless potential is solved by the tangible demand of the present. If your internal compass only points to the immediate and the verifiable, then your actions have to be just as concrete.
You eliminate the mental space for that paralyzing fear that comes from, planning 10 years out. You just take the next immediate step.
But let's press that point. If we are consistently living by our senses, choosing what we can see, touch, feel, how does the author ensure this philosophy is fundamentally distinct from just simple hedonism?
Yeah, that's the immediate critique.
It's what every listener is thinking right now.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this just an excuse for impulsivity and pleasure-seeking?
This is the most crucial part of the philosophy. It's where the architecture part of the title really comes in. The source draws a very hard line here. Leaving by the senses is not hedonism alone.
So what is it?
It is a disciplined attentiveness. The structure, the architecture, matters more than the sensory input itself.
Okay, but how do you put disciplined attentiveness into practice? How does discipline manifest when the core action is actually gratification?
The discipline lies in the feedback loop. See, sensory gratification in this model is not just pleasure. It's defined as a confirmation system. It verifies your alignment with your values.
A confirmation system.
Yes. The author says you have to ask, is this pleasure sustainable? Does it enhance my spirit? If the answer is yes, then the positive feeling is a confirmation that you are aligned. If the answer is no,
if it leads to anxiety or regret,
or a depletion of resources, then it failed the disciplined attentiveness test.
that is a huge shift. So grabbing a massive box of cookies for an immediate sugar rush, that's a reckless jolt because the crash that comes after it confirms misalignment.
Exactly.
But spending an hour painting, which engages the senses and brings that immediate, quiet joy, that's discipline because the calm you feel afterwards confirms alignment.
Exactly. The first is a fleeting impulse. The second is a choice of presence. The former leaves you feeling empty. The latter leaves you energized. This focused attention prevents the mechanism from becoming purely self-indulgent. It requires a constant, active evaluation of the sensory input's quality and its aftermath.
And when this alignment is confirmed and the senses are engaged and satisfied, the source says that energy surges. I want to highlight the language used here because it's so critical to avoiding the burnout we associate with impulse. This energy isn't a reckless jolt.
No, it's a sustainable current that propels action.
That distinction is paramount. A reckless jolt is addictive, it's unsustainable, it requires bigger and bigger inputs for the same reward.
Right. While a sustainable current, however, that generates consistent output, it's the difference between, say, drinking 3 cups of coffee to sprint through a task versus eating a genuinely nourishing, enjoyable meal that sustains you through the afternoon.
One provides a reliable motivation.
It does.
That gives me something concrete to grab onto. It implies that true immediate joy is inherently productive. It fuels the next good choice instead of creating a deficit you have to recover from.
Precisely. And this is where we connect that sustainable energy to the final concept in the book, purpose and mindfulness.
Okay, so we have this sustained current of energy. How does the philosophy then connect that energy to mindfulness and our ultimate purpose?
Well, once again, the source kind of redefines a common term, Mindfulness in this context is not a retreat from the world.
It's not sitting on a cushion.
Not at all. It is the highest form of active engagement. It's most active engagement. You aren't stepping away to breathe. You are stepping into the moment with focused intention.
That really challenges the standard image of mindfulness as something purely contemplative. This is almost a combative, engaged form of presence.
It is. It requires a steady attention to what is and a deliberate cultivation of presence. And because you've already filtered out the future anxieties we talked about.
Right, from section 2.
And you've fueled yourself with that aligned immediate energy from section 3, you actually have the resources to be fully present and fully active.
And what does that intense, active engagement produce? What's the outcome for our sense of purpose?
This deep cultivation, it makes every single moment fertile for growth. The process takes that renewed, sustainable energy and it converts it directly into purpose. Your actions, because they are tangible and immediate, they shape a life that is intense in its immediacy and clear in its direction.
You stop searching for purpose.
You start demonstrating it in every immediate choice.
I really appreciate how structured this is. It really is an architecture. It starts with that radical choice of immediate gratification, choosing joy now. That gives you the anchoring, which then leads to a clarity of sight because you're focused on the tangible.
Which then generates that sustainable energy via sensory fidelity.
And then that energy is channeled into purposeful, active mindfulness. It's a 4-part rhythm.
It is. It's a complete closed-loop rhythm. If we synthesize these 4 steps that are laid out in the source material, gratification now, clarity of sight, sensory fidelity, and energized mindfulness, it's an engine of self-emergence.
So what does this all mean when we connect it back to the listener's life? We started with that skeptical question. How does this work when you must save for retirement or maintain a long-term goal?
And the synthesis answers that by reframing the goal. This rhythm, according to the author, is how the best self emerges. The present moment is framed not as some pit stop on the way to the future, but as your own personal curriculum.
Your curriculum.
Your nourishment and the proof that you are here, alive, and moving toward what matters most.
So the discipline isn't about resisting the present to serve the future. The discipline is about choosing the right aligned joy in the present, because that's what builds the future moment by moment. It turns something like saving for retirement from this agonizing deferral into the immediate, tangible action of transferring funds today, which brings the instant, aligned satisfaction of financial discipline.
Exactly. You anchor yourself in the feeling of being responsible right now. It transforms a giant, scary future objective into a small, immediate, verifiable, and yes, joyful action.
That is a huge reframing. The final takeaway connection for you, the listener, is this. This deep dive suggests that prioritizing the now is not lazy or short-sighted, but rather, when practiced with this disciplined attentiveness, it becomes a highly effective, clear-headed discipline for living a truly purposeful life.
And if we truly accept this framework, if the present really is our curriculum, a schoolroom for growth and alignment, then we have to ask ourselves a provocative question to close.
What's that?
What lesson is the habit of deferring joy currently teaching us about our real, immediate priorities?
That is a brilliant question to sit with. Think about the small, genuine joys you habitually push off. That moment of sincere conversation, the 15 minutes of focused reading, the simple act of gratitude, and maybe, just maybe, choose one of them today. That wraps up this deep dive into the architecture of immediate presence.